Hey everybody, Chris here. In this video, we're going to be talking about gold. That's right, gold. And should you invest in gold? Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out, as well as when I do live streams. And I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I throw in a few extra lives every now and then. One of the special ones I'm going to be doing coming up is going to be the halftime of the Super Bowl. I'm going to have a special short live stream because I'm not watching that stupid halftime show with the Bad Bunny. I'm skipping that, so come here. Spend your halftime here during the Super Bowl. Will we get caught up to date on fun things like Bitcoin and Dogecoin and gold and silver and looking at the week ahead after that. So we're going to do that on Sunday, February 8th. But for now, all eyes on gold. That's right. So what is gold and why is it so special? So gold, it's a shiny, metallic, it melts easily into bars or jewelry. It doesn't rust or corrode or decay. So what makes gold so valuable? There is a lot of history behind this. Certainly, we look at throughout human history, it's amazing. Like even 4,000 years ago in the Egyptian times, they were making gold jewelry. So even way back then, gold held a value there that they found, and that has remained all through the years. So investing is more of a relatively recent thing, although we did have like the California gold rush where new gold was being found, and there were a lot of people who were giving up their lives and chasing dreams, trying to mine their own gold. So it has had this special relationship through the years and even made as money, yes, as currency, because gold, because of its intrinsic value and its scarcity, became a form of commerce and trade. So we're going to talk about why gold versus other metals and how gold has achieved this value as we explore more about gold and should it be part of your portfolio. So gold, it's embodied wealth, power, prestige across cultures throughout history. It's maintained its role as both a luxury item and a medium of exchange. It serves as a potential store of value if other currencies falter. We'll talk a little bit more about that in fiat. Physical properties, durability, malleability, resistance to corrosion make it very practical. Yes, it's not just a store of value, but people actually use it. Remember all the dental fillings that were gold? They use other stuff now, but gold fillings, that was a big thing too. Industrial applications, electronics, medicine, aerospace. Gold is good for all of that. And it's rare enough to be precious, abundant enough to serve as a practical medium of exchange. But it's also an investment vehicle. And if we look here about portfolios, right, and you're thinking about investing in gold, well, most adults have some real estate. They've got gold, they've got stocks, mutual funds, they've got savings accounts, bonds, and now even cryptocurrencies are part of an overall recommended portfolio. So probably a good idea to have a little gold, but should you buy right now? It's at all-time highs, and you're like, should I FOMO in now or should I wait for a pullback? We're going to get into that as well. But who buys gold now? We don't really know who owns all of the gold, but this recent chart here shows who is buying gold at this point in time. Central banks, rumors are that they have like 30% of all the world's gold, and they add each year about 15% of the new gold or gold that is traded every year. We have, just as investing, like you and I and others who are investing, that's about 16% of the overall trading of gold on a yearly basis. Buying bars, buying coins, like gold coins, that's about 16%. And jewelry consumption is about 26% of gold on a yearly basis. Who's actually buying and using gold. So that's kind of interesting how the percentages here of gold. But there's a lot of small things too about electronics, technology, even still in dentistry, there's a little bit of gold and other industrial. So gold is still in demand. How much gold is there overall? It's estimated it's about 216 tons of gold that are out there. And of that, the mining of gold still continues. So gold is not fixed. There's not a cap on gold. So gold is somewhat inflationary. We talk about Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has its hard cap, but Dogecoin that we talk about, right, has some inflation. Gold also has an inflation, and it's thought that about 3,600 new tons of gold are mined every year. So that's about a 1.6, 1.7% inflation. And Doge, which we'll talk about more just a little bit as part of investing, is right now about 3%, but Dogecoin will continue to shrink in its overall percentage. I call it decreasing inflation. And Dogecoin as a currency actually makes a lot of sense, much more than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has its hard cap. Gold is inflationary. That inflation is also decreasing year over year. So, and even back in history, gold as a barter system, a medium of exchange, was very popular along the Silk Road. The Chinese and others have used gold as a medium exchange. But what about like iron and copper and lead? Well, those corrode over time, so you can't really store them for a long period of time. You've got aluminum, but aluminum's like so light, it just doesn't feel right, and it can actually corrode as well. We've got palladium and platinum. They're reasonable choices, mostly non-reactive to other elements. They produce little corrosion, but they're far too rare to generate enough coins for circulation, particularly in today's world. So nobody uses those. But that doesn't mean the prices can't go up too, because we see all the precious metals going up in price now. So gold. And how about silver too? I mean, silver has kind of been like secondary to gold over time. Silver used also for a lot of jewelry, but is much more used in other products in industry. And so it's not really thought of quite as a store of value as much as gold is. But the price is still going up big too. But we're just gonna stick with gold right now for the rest of this video. Gold, there have been times, right? We look at this chart and the price of gold over time from like the 1970s to today, and there have been times when gold has spiked in price. We see the late 1970s in the energy crisis. Investors bought gold as a safe haven. We see the late 1990s into the early 2000s, slight little dip there, but much bigger in the price of gold going back up in the 2008 financial crisis. And then we had 2020 and the pandemic and COVID. People fled to gold as well. And gold really didn't come down quite so much after that, before this current big spike in price. And we look at silver and compare the price of silver with this chart. Silver tends to go on spikes as well, following gold, but silver has usually collapsed back down, much more volatile in its pullbacks, almost back to where those big runs started from. And so we see that over time as well. But what's going on now with gold and silver, totally unprecedented. So what about the future of gold? Well, we talk about crypto, we talk about Bitcoin, the digital gold, but what's happening right now, particularly Bitcoin versus gold here, we've got gold on a percentage basis going up and Bitcoin is rather stagnant. Now, a lot of us, especially me, have pointed to October 10th, 2025, the big flash crash in cryptocurrencies, the manipulation of cryptocurrency markets. You can't manipulate gold. There's so much gold out there that the price cannot be manipulated. It truly is supply and demand, where Bitcoin isn't. So is Bitcoin going to catch up like a lot of crypto predictors are saying? It's hard to tell right now. Cryptocurrency is really volatile, But right now it's stagnant. There's not good market sentiment in crypto. A lot of believers of the 4-year cycles, and Bitcoin isn't going to go on a big run right now. So that's what I believe as well. So when we also talk about fiat and the US dollar, particularly the US dollar, there was a gold standard up until 1971 where the currencies, US dollar, and how much currency there was always backed by how much gold we had. We went off that standard. And now the country can just print as much money as it wants. And that's why we have such big inflation. And what happens when inflation spikes up? People turn to gold. That's what happens. So kind of interesting how all of that is tied to the gold price. Also, a lot of central bank reserves are in gold around the world. There's still gold as that standard. We have economic and political instability that causes spikes in the gold price. And there's ongoing demand for gold and silver. We go back to the gold chart and we look at what's happening in gold, and we think particularly back in early 1970s, if you put $100 into gold back then, well, you'd have about $6,700 today. But if you put that same $100 into the S&P 500, you have about $24,000. So over time, gold was relatively stagnant. Again, we had those little peaks here and there, but this craziness that's happened in the past 2 years, totally unprecedented. And so that leads me, well, what do I do now? What do I do now? Do I buy in? Is this FOMO? Is this too late? Which is an interesting thing about inflation, the value of the US dollar. So as the dollar is weakening and going down, gold goes up. We have a lot of these things between economic uncertainty, geopolitical challenges, and a weakening dollar, all leading to the spike in the gold price. So that is interesting. Now, we do have the new all-time highs in gold. Is it going to continue to go up? We have a lot of specialists who follow gold. I mean, Morgan Stanley was just 2 months ago was predicting gold at the end of 2026 being 5,700, and last night it hit 5,600, new all-time high. So it's getting close to those predictions already here in January 2026. So what do we do? Do investors buy gold? Should you buy gold? What's your risk tolerance? Again, gold in an overall portfolio is good to have some gold, some exposure to gold, not going all in on gold. Peter Schiff, all these years, he's been like all on the gold bandwagon, always saw Bitcoin as kind of like something that's going to be a bubble and is going to collapse. And over the past 2 years, Peter Schiff is just turning out to be correct, at least on the gold front. Remains to be seen what happens with Bitcoin. So where to buy gold? Typically ETFs, mutual funds. You can buy mining stocks. To try and buy like a bullion of gold, like a big bar, that's hard to do. Robinhood was just giving away small little bars of gold. I didn't win any on that, but it would have been fun to have a little bar of gold or something like that. But what about on Binance? You can buy that XAU cryptocurrency, which is linked directly to the price of gold, and it can be shorted, and you can do leverage trading on that. Highly not recommended at this point, but I know some want to short gold right now. But would you really, with everything going on in the world? So it's probably just a good idea to buy a little and have some exposure to it. In my opinion, not financial advice. Now, Bitcoin versus gold. Again, is Bitcoin's price going to reverse and catch back up to gold? I don't think so right now. I think there's a lot of this world uneasiness, the value of the dollar going down, that I don't see that happening. I don't see Bitcoin going down right now, and I still believe in the 4-year cycles as well. Market cap of all of gold is $38 trillion. The market cap of all of cryptocurrency, including Bitcoin and Dogecoin, all crypto, is about 3 trillion. Gold just raised its market cap over the past couple days by $3 trillion. That's how huge gold is versus crypto. And how about Dogecoin? We follow Dogecoin a lot on this channel. We think Dogecoin can be a medium of exchange, a great cryptocurrency used actually as e-cash, digital cash, what Bitcoin was meant to be when Bitcoin was created, what to get away from the banks and get away from the fiat system. Bitcoin hasn't worked out that way because of that hard cap. A lot of people see it as just a store of value, and that store of value is being challenged right now for Bitcoin. Doge has the capability of really being a cryptocurrency used as a currency, what Bitcoin was meant to be. As I say, I take the Bitcoin white paper and I cross out the word Bitcoin, I put the word Dogecoin in there. So it's a Dogecoin white paper, actually. How is that going to fit in the future? We'll see. I think it'd be good to have that as part of your portfolio too. Bitcoin, Dogecoin, maybe some other cryptocurrency like an ETH, a smart contract, gold, real estate, stocks, good balanced portfolio. I think that's good to have. So that's where I am overall on gold. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Are you ready to buy a little gold? Just get in on the action and what's going on. Give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.